So there's some news out of Ohio that I want to get to from Governor DeWine. So let's start with what's going on right now today. So right now, the model predicts 400,000 Americans will die of COVID by February. And I want that to sink in because that is not an acceptable number of people to die. There is no acceptable number. That's as many people as died from the Union side in the Civil War. Think about that. These are Civil War losses we're talking about. So let's just start with the fact that there are record hospitalizations, the virus is out of control, and nobody is doing anything to stop it. You got the president of the United States still barely wanting to wear a mask on television. All right. While this is happening right now in our country. So I want to begin with that to move on to what Governor DeWine of Ohio has just recently said. Okay, so here we have it. So this was about an hour ago. Governor DeWine said, "None of us could easily forgive ourselves if we learned what a loved one contracted, if we learned that a loved one Okay, so here is the tweet. None of us could easily forgive ourselves if we learned that a loved one contracted the virus because we had it and did not know it. It's not worth the chance." That's the scariest and most horrible thing about this virus is that so many people can be asymptomatic. So many people can actually have the virus and then not know it and pass it to other people. And if you live in a household with a mother, a father, a grandfather, and you accidentally give this virus to someone you love and they pass away from it, the horror, it's almost worse than if you die from it, right? Because knowing that you basically were involved in the death, I mean, I can imagine the psychological pain that people would feel. Besides, of course, the loss of life generally, right? So Governor DeWine is wrestling with this. He is responsible for the people of Ohio. He's responsible for their well-being. It's a man, I would hate to be in his shoes right now. So after that, he tweeted, "Throughout history, each generation has faced challenges. Americans have been asked to lay down their lives so that our nation might live. Today, we all must do something far less dramatic. Wear a mask so that your friends, neighbors, and family members might live." And I like that he phrased it that way because yesterday was Veterans Day. And a few days ago was the birthday for the Marines. And we called on those young men, those soldiers, to go fight and die for us, to go to foreign lands, to put on those uniforms and go sacrifice themselves. All the governor is doing is asking people to wear a mask. That's it. If you don't think it's necessary, it doesn't hurt you to wear a mask, but it just might save somebody you love to wear a mask. That's it. He said, "My fellow Ohioans, few times in our lives we will ever be able to do something or refrain from doing something that will or can save life. This is one of those rare times." Whoever's watching this, in whatever state you may live in America, you can be a hero without even knowing it. You can wear a mask when you're in public and when you're around other people, and you can save someone's life without even knowing it. And when you're old and gray and dying in your bedside, maybe you'll think about this year. And you'll think about what we're all going through. And you'll think about what you did to help save people. Maybe it'll hit you when you're older. Because maybe you're younger. Maybe you're in your 20s and you're watching this video. Maybe you're in your 30s. And you're not worried about COVID personally. You think that you can beat it. You think that if you get COVID, you'll beat it and you'll overcome it. And maybe that's true. But when you're 60 and when you're 70 and you have a little bit more wisdom, you're going to remember this year. You're going to remember the time when Ohioans got together and they wore masks. You're going to remember the time when Americans woke up, when we elected a president that wears masks, right? And that when the culture changed, and instead of 400,000 people dying in February, it was 300,000 people, right? And maybe you'll be reading some article in a history book. And in that article, it'll talk about how instead of 400,000, the Americans only made it 300,000 because they decided to wear masks. Or it could go the other way. Maybe you'll see how all the rest of the world handled COVID correctly. How especially the Asian countries wore masks, they sanitized their hands, they social distance, and their COVID numbers were low, while the Western world, and America specifically, how they just refused. How they turned a health issue into a political issue. How they turned medicine into conspiracy. And it led to hundreds of thousands of extra deaths. How it led to the slowing of the US economy. How it led to a change in the world order. How it led to America no longer leading in the world, and no longer being the only superpower in the world. Maybe you'll read that history when you're older. And you'll have to live with that on your conscience. How you didn't make the sacrifice. If you had to do it all over again, at the very least, you would have made the sacrifice. Or you may have encouraged your friends and your family to do the same. And God forbid if someone loses a loved one from this disease. Maybe, just maybe, you'll think, what if? What if we had done things differently? Would I have been able to spend a few more years with my father or grandfather, or my grandmother or mother? I don't know. On Sunday, Fran and I were blessed to have a new baby granddaughter, and a grandson is due soon. Each of us has reasons that we want to be here with this when this horrible virus is over. Because maybe you're an older person watching this. And maybe you think, I've lived this long, I'm not going to live in fear of a virus. But is there anybody that loves you, that needs you? Is there anything that you still want out of life? I mean, come on. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to die. And nobody wants to die when it's preventable. So even if you think this is all a hoax, put on a mask. For God's sake, do it for your grandkids, for your grandson. When we decide whether or not to put on a mask, we should remember the things we really want to live for. That's right. And look, and there's plenty of things to die for in this world. Die for your family, die for your country, die for your God. But dying for a virus, or dying for Donald Trump, that is not one of the things that you should die for. So anyway, that is Governor DeWine, and it's really powerful stuff from the governor. And I know Ohio went red, and I know there's a lot of people in Ohio that are Trump supporters. But whether or not you're a conservative or a Democrat, liberal, progressive, it doesn't really matter. Do the right thing here, please. Please. Don't do it. If you don't want to do it for yourself, for selfish reasons, do it for your family. So that's all I have to say about this. Like, share, and subscribe. Governor DeWine issued this statement. And of course, there may be more shutdowns in Ohio. There may be more shutdowns in Ohio. And if we had shut down America the proper way for a limited amount of time in the beginning, we wouldn't have to deal with COVID right now. The only reason we're still having to deal with this horrible disease is because we failed to do something at the beginning. Maybe I'll get on that in another video. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about Governor DeWine. Please do the right thing.